And it's also kind of crazy because we have 3 casinos in Detroit that are making record profits. And it was to my understanding that the casinos are always supposed to donate a portion of their proceeds to the school system. So why do we need a financial emergency manager because we're so in debt and we don't have funds to fund it? But meanwhile, in the suburbs, they're building new football stadiums and swimming pools, Olympic-sized swimming pools in the predominantly white, neighborhood. So why is that? And why do you think they wanted to view your curriculum? Do you think there was an ulterior motive?
Well, I think that they were not going to sell anyway because of who I am. What I should have done was sent someone else in for me, which I'm learning that now. I got to operate through second and third parties because at this stage of the game, even white folk know who Dr. Umar is. Right. So I've been told by some attorneys of friends of mine that it can't be you no more. You're at a point now when they see Dr. Umar Johnson, they're not going to move forward. You have to send other people in. And so that's what I'm doing now. But I don't think they was going to sell to me regardless, even if I gave them the curriculum. I think they wanted the curriculum so they would have some insight into what we will be teaching and how. You see, now, with regard to the 200 schools that Detroit has closed, Philadelphia has dozens of them closed, Chicago has hundreds of them closed, and we also tried to get property in Chicago, but we're met with the same type of resistance. Because simply put, how can we gentrify black people if we allow him to open up a black school? People like to live near the schools that educate their children. So if we're trying to push black people out of Detroit, if we're trying to push black people out of Chicago, we can't do that by allowing an independent black school by a very popular personality in the black consciousness movement. It defeats the whole purpose of gentrification. We're pushing black folks out, but we're going to let him in? It doesn't work. Right. You see, but with that being said, I think that the black community needs to be better organized so we can exert the pressure necessary in order to force the power structure to give us those schools. You understand? Because for a city as black as Detroit, Detroit is about 85% black. It is the blackest of the major cities in the country. I live in Philadelphia, and so we're the only top 10 city where the black population is approximately equal to the white population. But in Detroit, you guys clearly have the numerical majority. So when I was looking for that school in Detroit, I should have had no problem getting one because we wasn't looking for it for free. We were paying for it, and they still didn't want to come up off the school. And I just felt that the black power structure in Detroit should have forced the white power structure to come up off of some of them schools and let us purchase one. Now, the casinos are a very strategic and diabolical political scheme to intensify gentrification. What do I mean by that? It is very difficult for a lot of hopeless people to not entertain the thought that I could get rich overnight with a lucky draw, a lucky roll of the dice, a lucky pull of the slot machine, you see. So the reason you find casinos next to poverty is because people who are impoverished are so desperate to get out of poverty that they will gamble away their week's salary. They will gamble away their title on their home. They will gamble away the note on their automobile in an attempt to make enough money to alleviate the stress and pain that comes with poverty. Because people often ask me, why do they put casinos next to impoverished neighborhoods? To intensify the gentrification. Because if you cannot control your gambling habit, sooner or later, you're going to lose your job and lose your house. So the casino is just another strategy that they use to get rid of black people.
Wow, I've never thought of it that way. And I always thought it was to attract other ethnicities and other groups and push us out, but I never thought it
serves both purposes.
Yeah, okay.
See, the way gentrification works, the strategy and the protocol is you do a casino, you do a Walmart, you do a movie theater, right? And you also do some new university buildings. You also do a charter school. Okay, a lot of black people fail to recognize charter schools also play a role in gentrification. The strategy is real simple. Get a black person to front the white charter school movement. The black person gets all the parents involved. Nobody's going to ask what color the teachers are. So that charter school is going to be 90% white administration staff and faculty. Those white people who are working at this charter school in the ghetto are going to buy up all the properties, all the abandoned lots, all the available real estate. And within 10 years after they opened up the black charter school, there won't be no black people around to attend the charter school. So the charter school naturally evolves into a white charter school. One of the best ways to get rid of black people is to open up a charter school. Why? Because most people don't feel comfortable opposing educational expansion. So if I say this is a university doing this, if I say this charter school is coming in support of giving black children another alternative to learn, who's going to go against a new school for black kids? So the way you get into the ghetto and take it over is you use the charter school as your way in. Okay, behold, what they say, the Trojan horse.
Yeah.
The charter school is the Trojan horse that you put in the ghetto because no black parent is going to oppose their white child's teacher living next door, the principal's around the corner, the science teacher's down the street. I love this school. All of my child's teachers live in our neighborhood. This is a good thing, but you don't know that they're only there as agents of gentrification.
Well, I never thought of it that way, but it always did have like a private entity.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Private entities are behind the charter school movement. And that's not to criminalize the charter school movement, because I know a lot of black people who have charter schools who have done great jobs with them. So I want to be clear about that. But that does not mean that the charter school movement itself was ever created to help black people. So right now, there's a black charter school in Chicago. They just left their charter. Lost their charter. Their test scores are high, but they accuse the administration of financial mismanagement. Because whenever you want to shut down a black charter school, you either say the test scores are too low, you're mismanaging money, or you ain't got enough white folks who work there. And in this particular charter school in Chicago, most of the staff and faculty were black, as they should be, because the students are black. But under white racist philosophy, even if all your students are black, you're supposed to guarantee a certain number of white folks. But if you go to some of these white charter schools, you don't see no black people working in them, but nobody takes their charter away. So one of the reasons with my school, the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, and thank God if all goes well, we would have renovated the school by the end of this year. So by New Year's Day, the Marcus Garvey Elementary School should be fully renovated. And we're in Wilmington, Delaware, 30 minutes from Philadelphia, right? A lot of people question, why did you go independent? Isn't it harder to do an independent school? No grants, no federal money, no COVID dollars, no nothing. Why did you do that? Because I'm a former charter school principal, and I'm a former charter school vice principal, and I see the hoops that they make black administrators go through in order to keep them charters, and as far as I'm concerned, we don't need to be doing that. See, the original movement for the black community was community control of the public school. We were never into the charter school thing because they weren't around yet. Charter schools pop up in 1990. In the 60s and 70s, we wanted community control. In other words, let us choose the principal. Let us choose the teachers. You follow me? School district, you can still control the operations, but we want to control the personnel and the programs. But when the charter school movement popped up in 1990s, some thirsty black people said, you know what? If we go with the charter schools and stop talking about community control, we can write ourselves into a budget and get paid. So the reason the community control movement died and the charter school movement took over is because greedy, thirsty black people saw in the charter school movement an opportunity to put themselves on a salary. We sold out to the dollar because you don't control charter schools. Charter schools are owned by the state. A charter school, by legal definition, is an alternative public school. You don't control it. We should have never gave up community control. So, in the absence of community control, understanding that the charter school movement is a scam, we need to go back to independent schools. Black money, black children, black teachers, black school. It's the only way to do it. And when we open up, we will be the first black independent school in the 21st century in this country, in a real building, real school, not no church, no basement, no house. Real school will be the first ones in the 21st century with a real school that was built exclusively with black money. It will be the first school ever in American history, the funds for which were donated from Africans all over the world. Never before done.
Yeah, and before I segue into my next question, I seen some pictures on Twitter, and you began painting.
Yes, sir.
So the renovations are
just about done. Our electricians are waiting for the inspection. Our plumbers are waiting for one piece that they need for the plumbing. Our HVAC, the air is on, the heat is on. We just need controls. We passed all the other things. Like I said, by New Year's Day, the building should be ready. And if it is, we plan to have a grand opening for the community in February. Okay, and we may start with the children this August, or we may wait a year until next August. But right now, we are on the victory lap, and we can see the finish line.
If people want to contribute to helping the renovation and the opening of the school, where can they start?
They can go to my website, drumarjohnson.com. That's DRUMARjohnson.com. The information is there. They can get on their Cash App, $FDMG School on the Cash App. Please make sure you got the right one, because there's a lot of fake ones up there. You want $FDMG School. When you put that in, the word FDMG Academy will come up, but it's $FDMG School. On PayPal, it's paypal.me/FDMG Academy. That's paypal.me/FDMG Academy. And we are a tax-exempt organization, so they can claim their donations on their returns.
Okay.
And if they want to teach at the school, email your resume to fdmgresumes@gmail. fdmgresumes with an S @gmail. We ask that you include a photo in a cover letter. Who are you, and why do you want to work at this academy?
Yep, so I'm going to Teach for America and come back home to the black community. And
be careful with Teach for America.
Yeah.
Because Teach for America is the Ku Klux Klan of education. Because what Teach for America does is they enter into contracts with predominantly black public schools, and they take all of the available slots, fill them with uncredentialed, uncertified white folks. And so now you are a 20-year math teacher, science teacher. You come back to Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta, Miami, Florida, and you say, this is my neighborhood. I want to be a science teacher in my neighborhood. I'm certified. I'm licensed. I got my degree. I got 20 years in. I want to teach in the schools where I grew up. You know what the principal going to tell you, the school district? Unfortunately, we can't give you the job because we signed a contract with Teach for America, which has exclusive control over who is going to occupy the available teaching spots in our schools. You see this? Now, the person teaching math don't have a math degree, is not an educator, don't have a license. They're coming over from Wall Street, they're coming over from law, they're coming over from realty, they're coming over from some other profession, and the only reason why they're there is they need to pay their bills in the suburbs.
Yeah, and I've seen that. The bar set real.
So you got all these black teachers who are certified, can't get a job. Because Teach for America bought all the teaching spots from the school district. They are the KKK of education.
Wow, that's insane how you could.
And then they talking about low test scores for black children, low achieving black children. Well, what do you expect them to be when the classrooms are filled with white folks who don't care about the kids, are not credentialed, don't have the degrees, don't have the certification? Very few teachers in a predominantly black public school are highly qualified. Very few. Most of them are leftovers who couldn't get a job in a white suburb. Or they're in the ghetto to teach so they can get their student loans paid off by the White House.
Yep.
And after they get their student loans paid off by the White House, after 3 to 5 years, they disappear into the suburbs. This is why you'll see a good white teacher, and then after 5 years, you don't see them no more. And you're like, what happened to that good white teacher? They wasn't here because they cared about black kids. They was here to get their student loans paid off, and after they got them paid off, they graduated to the suburbs.
Wow. That's crazy, man. Like, just come in, take from the...